Welcome back. A unique brewery and tasting room in Portland has been serving up beer for about 8 months now, and there's something that makes them very unique.
So Orange Bike Brewing Company is one of only 19 dedicated gluten-free breweries in the U.S. and one of only 2 in Maine. Joining us now live right now to talk about the brand and the brew is the owner, Ton Ruff. And also we're talking about the master brewer, Alan Pugsley. You guys, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, first of all, what was the inspiration to open up a gluten-free brewery and tasting room? And were there any concerns at all about opening up one when it comes to gluten-free, and how's business been going?
Yeah, so I had 54 years of a very glutinous lifestyle, and at age 54, like the wheels came off with my body. I started having all sorts of health issues. Started small, upset stomach, but then arthritis, inflammation, massive inflammation. My throat was swelling up. Bread was getting lodged in my throat. Eyelids swollen shut, and the doctors actually thought I had Lyme disease, autoimmune disease, Crohn's disease. I had so much IBS. My nutritionist friend in Los Angeles, who's known me 40 years, within 3 to 5 minutes, she knew immediately that it was the gluten. So within 7 months of removing gluten strictly from my diet, every single symptom went away, like changed my life. Used to be a big craft beer lover, and at the time there weren't many gluten-free beers at all. Redbridge is a sorghum-based Budweiser gluten-free beer, but compared to the craft beers I was used to drinking, it just tasted so different. So I set out to find a good gluten-free beer, couldn't find one. Thankfully, I got connected with Alan Pugsley, in my opinion, one of the best brewers in the world, thanks to Sean Sullivan, who was the executive director of the Maine Brewers Guild at the time. And we're Alan's 100th brewery that he's helped to open. So we're very fortunate to have him on our team, and he led all of the original recipe development.
So what was your reaction, when you get this pitch, let's make some gluten-free beer? Is it something you heard about? Had you played around with it? And how do you go about brewing gluten-free beer?
Yeah, so no, it wasn't something I'd played with or dabbled in before. And Tom called me just over 3 years ago, but it sounded intriguing to me. And so, after we met and decided we had a path forward, we started doing a lot of research and so forth, talking to the brewers on the West Coast, Grouse Malting, who make the malts that we use, such as here. And we decided to do pilots brewing of it. And I tasted all the grains, and the grains tasted great. I just didn't quite know the mashing regime, the temperatures and everything else, where that would come in. Addition of enzymes is important.
It's like a science experiment, right?
It really was. So we did the first brew, which is the Pilsner, which is really the flagship of the brewery at this point. And we actually did it at Geary's, which is a gluten brewery, but we did it in a little pilot system, so it was pretty much removed. And anyway, it came through, and other than the grains, everything else I designed like I would a regular beer, regarding the yeast and the hops and so forth, to make it into hopefully a fantastic product. So I remember tasting it when it was ready, and I was a little intrepid because I wasn't quite sure how the grains would come out. And I tasted it, it's like, wow, this is a fantastic Pilsner. So then Tom came in about a day later, and I didn't tell him my thoughts, and he's standing at the tank there tasting it, and wow,
pretty good.
Pretty good.
So cool.
I have chills and hair standing from that day.
Tell us about the beers you do offer along with the Pilsner there.
So we have a rotating tap list at the brewery, anywhere from 6 to 12 beers on tap. So the classics, the lagers, the Pilsners. Caroline, who's with us offset, she developed a sour program for us. So we have several sours that are extremely popular. And I also want to mention Jason Kissinger is our head brewer. So Jason was trained by Alan by another brewery in New York, Davidson Brothers, and then moved to Maine, and now he's our head brewer as well. We wouldn't have any of this without Alan, but also Jason now leading the charge.
And was your Pilsner also recently recognized? Did it get a special honor? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we're getting a lot of government support and university support. The state of Maine invested in our brewery, the Maine Venture Fund. So we have 11 universities, 54 college students. One of the universities we partnered with, Yale School of Management, they had 22 of their master's students do a case study on our project, and they looked at our sustainability initiatives, our social justice initiatives, but part of it was a blind taste test, and our Pilsner beat one of the top 3 Pilsners in the state of Connecticut in a blind taste test.
Wow.
Theirs has gluten, ours doesn't. The thing for us that was even bigger validation, the judges couldn't tell which one was the gluten-free product and which one was the regular. So
That
for
says
us,
a
that
lot.
was validation.
Yeah.
And Alan, let's talk about the big news for Orange Bike. You guys are going to be releasing a non-alcoholic, the first non-alcoholic gluten-free beer.
Yes, we did the first brew of an American Pale Ale, non-alcoholic, 4 weeks ago, and it went on tap a couple of weeks ago, and it's turned out fantastically. The consumers have great responses to it online and everything else. So it's an exciting new potential segue. There's a lot more complication in dealing with non-alcoholic regarding packaging and so forth, because it's not protected by alcohol and that. But there's a pathway forward for that down the road. So it's exciting too.
Very exciting. And real quick, we're hearing there's more to come when it comes to food at the brewery too. Is that true?
Yeah, so we were very fortunate. We're at 31 Diamond Street in East Bayside, and in our building we have Freedom's Edge Cider just opened their tasting room. Toad & Company, a sustainable clothing company out of Santa Barbara, but also Bite into Maine just opened their flagship brick and mortar cafe in our building. They have built out a completely gluten-free menu just for our Orange Bike customers, and they have one of the top 5 lobster rolls in the state of Maine. So you can order Bite into Maine in our tasting room with a special QR code and bring the tray in and dine in our dining room, or buy 4 packs BYOB in their cafe and drink our beer in the restaurant.
That is absolutely awesome. And before we go to commercial break, quick website.
It's orangebikebrewing.com.
Thank you both so much for being here.